Hello, welcome to a new game called 0304, done by JPEG Pain Games, which is a single indie developer. We're doing this on hardcore, which deprives us of any guns, and we have to kill everything with a knife, and plus there's no saves. So I'm not understanding this. So here we have the date April 3rd, 2017, where in the title it's 0304 that we die. We're playing the role of a Muslim terrorist bomber. Ultimately, this is a single indie developer who's making a first person shooter using the Unity engine and some assets, and has intertwined a story based on Muslim religious beliefs. So we're in Purgatory, or the Muslim version of Purgatory, called Barzakh. Sorry. So basically, if you're a bad person or you're a good person, you'll go to Barzakh. Barzakh is only mentioned 3 times in the Quran. Twice it mentions it as a sort of intermediate zone between how in real life fresh water meets salt water, which isn't true. Freshwater intermingles with salt water. But in here, our soul sort of goes to a place where we relive the mental torment, punishment of our. Sorry, I just have to destroy the radio. The punishment of our sins, or we have to relive our sins. So we're actually in a mental representation or a soul representation of our inner soul. We've we've gone into depths in a pictorial representation of our soul, and we're in the subway tunnel at the moment, where we blew up the train as part of a terrorist bomb attack. As I said, it's just a personally, before we go in, I don't believe in purgatory. I don't believe in Barzakh or any other form of purgatory. I believe when you die, you simply just cease to exist. Sort of like when you turn the power off to your computer, there's no internal programming going on. It's off. So that's our inner demon, one of our inner demons going around. We're going to be tortured by inner demons, which are zombie-like creatures. Just waiting for it for a little bit. As I said, we don't have a gun. We can only. I ran, so I've alerted the inner demon. So I just have to quickly CS:GO knife it. But ultimately, you can just creep up by walking behind that and just stab it in the back. So as I said, there's no saves. So in normal mode, you get a gun and you can go around shooting everything. Plus, you can there's save checkpoints that automatically save, so you would just go back to your checkpoint instead of going back all the way to the beginning. So with the Muslim belief of Barzakh, basically if you're a bad person, a dark soul, I guess, you basically just going to experiences the bad things that have condemned you already, and basically going to force you to go to hell. You'll relive them, experience them mentally somewhat. So you'll go through the punishment of them. If you done good things, you'll have a light, bright soul, and your experience in Barzakh will be completely different. You'll experience the good things that you've done before you go to heaven and go off into the light. Basically, that's in a nutshell. Now, Muslims have another purgatory called. Now, this one you can just creep up behind and just stab it. There you go. That's how I should have done the first one. So I'm just taking you on the quickest path. This isn't a blind run. You'll notice we're in a school too. So we're actually experiencing what our first sin. We're going to go through 3 of them. That is going to cause our punishment to go off into hell, apparently. and that's what this whole game is about. Um, Muslims have another purgatory called Araf. Now, Araf is different. That's based on the fact of people who have done good things and bad things equally. They will sort of go into a judgment sort of place, and because I guess it hasn't been decided where they're going, because they were equal in their actions. Now, if you go into here, but because I went really quick down those stairs, I bypassed a section. Normally you have to go up and down those stairs, sort of like an antechamber sort of mesmeral. This is our school. This is where we went to school, and now basically we are texting ourselves, belittling ourselves, telling ourselves why we're condemned, and basically we were a bully at school and we stole everyone's lunch money. I'm just going to show you this because I thought this was actually quite interesting. This is a real Russian news report. Seems to be of some sort of terrorist train attack. If anyone knows which live event, you can see dead bodies in there, so I'm actually quite surprised this is actually allowed because it's actually real dead bodies there. If you know what event this is actually referring to, can you please leave a note in the comments? I would love to know. Unfortunately, I don't understand Russian. So there's a lot of eye candy. This is a free game on Steam, so if you're into horror games and you haven't got any money and you want to play it for yourself. It's completely free on Steam. Now, according to Sharia law, which is basically you steal things, you get amputated arm, and that's what we're going through. Now, this is very controversial. It actually happens in some countries where Sharia law is promoted. Basically, if you were to steal, you would have your hand amputated, and it would teach you not to steal. And basically, it stops people from taking that risk. Yeah, a bit crazy, and it's very controversial. What this developer is saying is no matter how you feel about Sharia law in real life, technically, according to Muslim beliefs, especially with Barzakh, the Sharia law would apply there. So it would condemn you according to your actions and force you to go through that punishment mentally. If you also play the Origami Killer, you have a very similar experience in that game. The difference is you actually have to do actions that cut off your hand in order to save your daughter. And as a gamer, you'll really feel that emotional torment of what your protagonist character is going through. This developer has saved you from that, but it is still a shocking event regardless, and you still feel it. Now, what I'm trying to do here is get that enemy stuck on the door, so you can actually just knife him, but he didn't get stuck. But there is a glitch there; you can get him stuck on the door. So I'm just fast tracking this. As I said, if you want to have a look and explore, there's plenty of eye candy. I don't understand a lot of the eye candy because it's all in Russian. But if you want to have a look, it's free on Steam. It's important not to go past this key. If you go past this key, you will trigger an enemy that's going to block you away from getting out. So I'm saving myself a little bit more of the headache by not doing that. But you can, by all means, go down that path and trigger the enemy if you want. We will come across that enemy soon anyway, so I'm saving it. Now, I believe we're in the basement area of our apartment. So we're not in the school anymore. We're in the basement of our apartment, which I find interesting because ultimately it looks like our basement was actually connected to the subway system where we planned a terrorist attack, which may explain why we chose the apartment building that we did, so that we could research that this terrorist attack that we did has been planned for quite some time. And we kind of know the layout, and we ourselves taunt ourselves saying these these places look familiar to you, don't you? So we've spent time in this in our real world, but when you go to Barzak, you don't take your physical body with you. It's only just your soul. Now this is the enemy that we didn't get to spawn last time. We do have to come across it this time. I'm just going to turn around so you can see it. Who the heck thinks of these things? Things are nightmares. Ultimately, they're just Unity assets, which the guy has used. This crawling one is a real pain in the butt to try and take down with the knife. You've got to get him in the neck between the shoulders and the head. I can't be bothered, so I've got enough health. I'm just going to try and outrun it to the exit. Good luck with that one. That's probably the most difficult one of them all. So now we're in our apartment building. We've gone from the basement area of our apartment building to our apartment building. Now our second sin is basically we cheated on our girlfriend and had committed adultery. And according to Sharia law, the price of adultery is death. Quite frankly, it's death. In this way, it's also an eye for an eye. So basically, our girlfriend became depressed after that, suicidal, and she jumped off to the roof of our building and killed herself. And in Barzak, we're forced to relive the same thing. Now, it's important to note that in Barzak, you can't make amends for any sins that you've done. Just like you can't fault any good things that you've done either. So all you can do is relive sort of the mental anguish, the torture of knowing that you're going to be condemned forever on the basis of what you have done, and you're going to the appropriate place, whether it's hell or heaven. There's you get an achievement if you jump over there, but that requires you go jumpy, and I'm hopeless. And on Nightmare it doesn't save, or Hardcore, so we won't be doing that. This is interesting room in the fact that your inner demons are being tortured here, so you're torturing your own inner demons. Which makes sense, because we are torturing ourselves by messaging ourselves and belittling ourselves with texts and condemnatory remarks on how worthless and how we deserve our punishment. It's important to knife the enemies in the head if you're going to get them. As you can see, I'm nearly dead. If I walk up to this enemy, I should be able to just smack it in the back, but I've got to be careful here. Because if I don't, face on, you have to hit it in the head. In the back, you can just hit it anywhere and it'll die. Okay, so I've got my health back. Thank goodness, I nearly died then. I'd be interested to know if the Russian developer is a Muslim, or if this guy is an atheist or a Christian, making a story on what he believes Barzak is all about, or if he's a Muslim, because when you go through the many factions of Muslims, they all very differ, because there's only three verses in the Quran about Barzak. Ultimately, it just says, now I'm going to run this and jump over. Two of the verses, as I said, just describe it as a illustration, and the third one describes it as an intermediate place that your soul goes. Now I'm just trying to knife it in the head. It's pretty hard. So yeah, I'd be interested to know. So here we're forced to relive the same. According to Sharia law again, death for death. Which is interesting. I think according to Sharia law, the victim's family can choose your punishment or lighten your punishment. I think that might be only in accordance with certain law. which I don't understand why that wouldn't apply. Maybe it does. If people are more attuned as to what how Sharia law um, works, um, and I'm not sure if Sharia law would be different in Barzak in comparison to. So I'm just checking Crouch. I haven't played this game for a while. Um, Now there's an enemy coming up that's unkillable. It's pretty scary looking. We will come across it later, but it's important that you just go into this vent to avoid it. You can't kill it. So that's what I'm doing. And we will come across it later, so I'm not really worried about it for now. Yeah, so I'd be interested. I can't see why it wouldn't be different with stealing from someone as well. Like the victim you stole from, surely that victim can say what your punishment is. I mean, if whether they lessen your punishment. According to international United Nations regulations, there's, of course, Sharia law does not apply. Sharia law applies to banking, though. Banks, because ultimately it does the benefit of the banking system. So often you find Sharia law in most banking systems. So you can see I'm nearly dead now. Now we're in the subway, so this is the third and final sin that we're going to be reliving the punishment for a long time until we're called to the place that we until we go to the prison, I guess, which is hell. This is just I guess a notifying judgment place of why. Now, if I was to wander off in various areas, I would spawn enemies. So I'm choosing the track where the enemies don't spawn. So by going down this middle archway, I'm stopping enemies from coming over. There's a enemy on the left there that will come towards me if I move any closer, similar to that one on the right there. This is the train that we blew up, so we're at the actual mental representation in Barzak of the train that we blew up and killing many innocent victims. This is the sin. Even though we're a Muslim and we're in Barzak, we're being condemned because we're not. We became too fanatical and misinterpreted according to certain leaders, I guess. And we took many innocent lives, which through a wrong interpretation, we allowed ourselves to become a pawn, and we're not excused for our sins, and so we're now forced to live in accordance, which is interestingly to their own belief system of the punishment for according to Sharia law. So I try to get that beast caught in the corner. That's how I get around him. He has a wide swing, so he can take it out. As I said, you can't kill him, so let's just avoid him. And that's predominantly it. This is the entire game. We're now coming to the end. Now, when it comes to Russian indie games, this is graphically quite fantastic, quite well done, very well designed. I appreciate what the developers, and I feel like there's a lot more here, but because I'm not Russian, I don't understand a lot of it. And it would be interesting again if I knew the developer's background on this subject as well, whether he is a Muslim in himself, having a go at the fanatical side. But we move into the light only to discover, again, as I said, you cannot make amends for your past sins in Barzak. You just relive them over and over again until you take him. No, for you will never end. You will never atone for your last sin. You are the culprit of this tragedy. You are the cause of all your misery, a worthless pawn, a performer of someone else's idea. It was you who blew that wagon. You walk this way time after time. You have fallen into your own purgatory, wandering through it, trying to calm yourself and justify yourself. Even these messages, you write them yourself. So I guess the moral of the story is don't become so dependent that you take your mobile phone with you. You will never go to hell or heaven. You are doomed to wander around, live it all over again forever. You have no forgiveness. That's not entirely true. This is not a place to stay. Interestingly, we didn't take our phone chargers, so we eventually will stop belittling ourselves and telling ourselves off. So I thought this was actually really good to come to indie developers, JPEG Painter Games. My next video will be on the arena. Until then, bye for now.